I want to say one of the things that I love about having Brian up here is how many people are following Brian on Instagram. Just blow your mind photography for those that aren't. I think this room gets this and realizes it, but we still do lifestyle photography very, very poorly. And it is imperative for us as we were putting this together to make sure that we are on the same path as the fashion industry and every other industry that thinks with emotion with the product that they sell. And Brian does a fantastic job of building that bridge between product, cool, kick-ass product, and emotional marketing. And so that's why we invited Brian, truly one of the most talented photographers that I know. And we'll go by way of introduction with this video.
I do it because it keeps me creative. I like shooting when other people don't. So when I show up to the scene, there's not a lot of people there. I'm at Brian Stidham on Instagram. I've been on the platform for, I don't know, forever. A few years ago, I was driving home. It was towards sunset. We were getting tons of colors, and it was actually a really foggy day. I snapped a couple shots, went home, did a quick edit, uploaded it that morning when I woke up. Tons of new followers. It's got reshared numerous times. It was pretty amazing. I'm looking for reflections, lighting. I like shooting at night. Some of my favorite images that I posted on IG is some of my portraits. There's one of at Iris Wonderland where she's has an umbrella. It's at night, the rain's coming down. I love that photo. There's one of a model in a swimming pool, a couple of nice close-ups that involve bubbles, cameras. I think there's pieces of my photography, my edit, that has, kind of stayed the same, but it's definitely evolved. When I take a photo, look at it behind my lens, I know exactly how I'm going to edit it. A lot of times I try to make it really moody. I try to pop a couple colors out, and I love the reflections. So anytime I can see a reflection, I really try to highlight that. Earlier this year, I designed a couple custom lapel pins to kind of give back to some of my followers. They're all creators, photographers, storytellers, and so I wanted to give something back to them. It's a conversation piece. People come up, they ask about it, and then you get into this really great, passionate conversation about something that you love. I travel a lot. First thing I do is I go on IG, I look at the hashtags. I find places that I never would have found. I always find it through IG, so that's my go-to source for finding new spots. I've seen things I never would have seen before if it wasn't for photography getting me out there. It's connecting me with people around the world. So a lot of times when I go into a city, people will ask, hey, do you want to take photos? I love that. Even Instagram has opened up this to me to be a part of this great video series. This is awesome. Something like that, I don't know. So I'm about to show you probably the most photos that you'll ever see at a skucamp in 30 minutes. I think for the most part, everyone loves taking great photos and showing them off. It could be vacation photos. It could be just a cool product, and out pops your phone, and then you start trying to tell a story about what you took. Hang on. Oh wait, that's too far. Anyways, I'm going to talk about how... Yeah, please. So anyways, I'm going to talk about how to up your photo game, how to take it from okay to wow. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of technical talk on how to use manual mode on your camera. I'm just going to tell you some things that get you started to taking better photos. Hang on one second. So anyways, these are the 3 cameras that I normally use, which is just my iPhone, a simple point and shoot camera, and then also a small mirrorless camera. What I love about these cameras, they're all small, and so I normally have always one on me, and especially one of the nicer ones than just an iPhone, even though an iPhone takes great photos. A great photo is really about just the landscape, is really about lighting and keying in on what you're wanting to take photos of. And that could go for landscape, it could go for promo products, it could go for breakfast. It's just taking the time to work the scene that you're at and then keying in on what you want to how to tell your story. It's funny, on many occasions, I'll be out taking photos with people and they're like, oh, so this is your secret. And I'm like, what? And they're like, you take 50 photos and you only show 49 or one of them out of them. I'm like, yes, that's it. It's because I take the time, I see something, and sometimes you have to find it. A lot of pro photographers, they don't tell you that. You know, they think you walk up, they take one photo, and it's just gold, and it's ready for the wall. And that's entirely not true. You know, they're getting different angles. They're going to the right, snap another one. They'll go down low, take a photo, they'll get high, not the high that you're thinking, but they'll still. So there's probably been tons of times that you've been out walking, you see a scene, and you're like, oh my God, I love this. Like, this is inspirational to me. I take the photo, you get home, and then it looks something like this, and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, there's nothing there. And it's only because you did not take the time to find the perfect angle for what you're looking at. So this was, I took a bunch of photos in San Francisco. It's like north of San Francisco lately. And you probably, I don't know if you can see it, but I took around 310 photos just in this area, and you're only going to see 2 of them, and that's it. You know, another example, I love taking photos of bridges, trains, especially nature. And so I'm driving in Indiana, and there's this place called the Haunted Bridge, and I see a train parked up on top of it, stopped, and I pull over because you never see that, mainly because the place is haunted, so there's no train stopping on this bridge. So I get off, I start taking photos immediately, and I'm getting low. I'm going to the side, I'm throwing leaves up in the air, and then I kind of get to the left. I finally get to this angle, and I'm like, this is it. It's showing everything that I saw when I drove by, and then that's what I took to edit, and then that's hanging up in my house. You know, same with this. This is, you're just walking down the road, you see the fall colors, and it's one of those weird transitions where there's a lot of leaves not on the trees. You're walking through, and you take a bland photo like this, and then you're like, well, maybe I'll just shoot the colors. It's really not working. So you actually jump into the trees and find a little spot, and then you get the road. And so then, you know, I take that to edit, and it looks something like that. So one thing, really quick, this class is not about rules of composition or anything like that. I just want to go through them really quickly, and we'll never talk about them again. It's, but you will use them. And so, you know, the first one is just the rule of thirds. A lot of times you probably see these lines on your iPhone. You think, oh, this is just to align my photo. Well, it's not. Sometimes you don't want the photo in the center, so you want to draw the eye across. So you just really want to have the subject in two of the intersections. The next one is leading lines. If you look at any composition book, you always see the classic lighthouse with a fence row running up to it, or a nice mountain, and then a water stream running to it, and it's just something that draws your eye to it. Next, just filling the frame, which just means putting the subject in the frame. And then just patterns. Anytime you see a cool pattern, just take a photo of it. You got a great photo. And like I said, we're going really quick. This is the last one, and it's just filling the framing. So you might see a window, or you might see some rocks or something like that. You know, getting your subject right into the center of it. Anything to draw the eye to what you're trying to take a photo of. So what happens to me is I show up to a lighthouse, I show up to a mountain, and I'm like, where the heck is the fence? Where's the stream running to it? Because it's never there. And so that's when you try to find your story. You find your angle, you work the area, and you work the scene. So my favorite thing to do when that happens is just shooting through objects. And so by doing that, you are kind of putting the person next, like where you're at. And, you know, this is the Monument Circle in Indianapolis. Everyone goes there to take photos. I was at a photo meetup. Of course, I took photos of the monument, and I decided to kind of shoot through this fence, and it got voted the best photo of the event, just because everyone's taking the same photo. This is just kind of, you know, thinking outside the box. You know, again, you know, just holding the camera high, shooting some leaves, you know, sure the water is beautiful, but, you know, just putting people, you know, in the frame. The one with the flower, I took that in California. It was raining, and I saw this young couple coming, and then I waited till they got into the frame and, you know, snapped a photo. And again, just shooting through, you know, plants. This is the Canal Walk in Indianapolis. And, you know, most people just go dead center. They shoot straight on. I walked up, you saw this nice looking bell thing, and just putting that in the frame just really adds to the photo. And then same with the flowers. There was just like a flower bed here. Just shoot the tops of the flowers and get everything, you know, in there. I took these next photos at skucamp NOLA. I took photos in all these places, but the most interesting ones was outside, shooting through the windows and capturing the lights. And, you know, there was more of a story going on when you do that. If you don't have that, sometimes you just grab a branch, just put that right in front of the lens, and then start shooting. And then people think you're standing in front of a tree or in the tree, who knows? But it really adds to the photo. And it could be something just as simple as, you know, seeing a fire hydrant and then just shooting by it. And then just one more slide, just, you know, shooting through a fence. The photo with the car, I shot out of an Uber. The guy next to me, I'm like, roll your window down now and just lean back because I'm taking a photo. And I got that. Looks like Grand Theft Auto. And so the other thing is I love to get low and take photos because it really grounds you where you're at. These next slides, again, they were at skucamp NOLA. And anytime you see water, the key thing, just get low, you get all the reflections, and it's awesome. And you also see things that you never would have saw. You got to get the strap off your neck sometimes and get your camera, you know, in the right position. The last photo was after a night in drinking on Bourbon Street. I get out of the cab, it's raining. People thought I passed out in the middle of the road. They're like, oh my God. But anyways, I was actually just taking a photo. I might have passed out later, who knows. And then the next, you know, this is the same one where I was holding the branch, is just getting low in front of it. And then I'll show you one last slide really quickly of just water. I don't know how those show up, but I'll send you the slides. I know it's kind of, you know, bright in here. So lighting is everything. Learn how to use it intentionally. So I know like this lighting setup, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to know about it. You don't start here. You start with one light and you just get very comfortable with it, and then you can add different lights. So one light that I almost always have in my travel bag is just this small little portable light I got off Amazon. It's like 30 bucks. I'll send you the link if you want to get one. And it's mind-blowing how much better your photos look just with a little bit of light. So this next photo, that's my son. He's sometimes my tripod, especially if I need somebody to get into the water. And he's looking at me like, you're not taking my photo, are you? And I said, absolutely, no, just stand there. And so as you can see, you know, that one little light lights up the model's eyes, and then it also lights up, you know, the water. You know, this next was a product shot, and it was just for the mug. It was taken the same day, and it was getting dark, and again, he's holding the light up about a 45-degree angle, shooting down, and it looks like early morning, and you get this nice glowy look. The light actually comes with little filters, and so I just put a gold filter on it, and it just really made the photo. So this is, you can hear the wind. So this was a snowstorm that ripped through Indianapolis earlier this year. There's one more slide. You can see all the snow. And so most people are out at the grocery store buying bread and milk and just trying to get all the food, while me and a buddy, we go downtown in the heart of it like maniacs, and we're basically the only ones out there. And so this one little light held against the lens, and then you can see the snowflakes. Without that light, you wouldn't see anything. And so this is just more photos, you know, just putting the light next to the lens, and then you can really get some great photos. If not, it would just look like a snowy day, and your time out there in the blizzard would be all for nothing. And then also, it works with, you know, it's great for rain. That's how they backlight movies, is they'll have it raining and then have light shining in the back. And so this is, you know, basically the same thing. This, you know, a much nicer light, of course, but it's the same concept. Light up, 45 degrees, shooting down. This was just a project that I took part in. Same thing here. You saw it on the video. This was an apartment complex. She jumps into the pool. There's a bunch of people taking her photo, and it's just one light. Without the light, that photo would have happened. So a tripod is the coolest thing you can buy at a camera store, says no one. I'm embarrassed to buy one. I'm embarrassed to have one traveling around with it, but I always have some type of small tripod with me, just because for night photography, it's very necessary. And so you look at this photo and you're like, oh, you probably need to know a lot of details and know camera settings. That's totally not true, but you just need a tripod. And so on most cameras, you just set it to shutter priority, and the camera does all the work for you. You might have, the only thing you have to set is how long you want the shutter open. So maybe like a 5-second, 10-second shutter, and then you can get cool stuff like this. But you have to have a tripod. And this is a photo somewhere in China over a bridge. The one on the left is, of course, just a normal photo. The other one is with a camera at a long exposure with no tripod. It looks kind of cool, but it could have been cooler with a tripod. I was at the state fair. It just got done raining, and so my first thing is I got my tripod because it's night. I got it down low so I can get the reflection, and then next thing I know, I have like 20 people surrounding me asking, what the heck are you doing? And it was a university, a professor brought his photography class there. And so next thing I know, I'm teaching all these kids, you know, about reflections and things like that. and then I gave them all Fs because none of them had a tripod on them. It's like, how are you going to take night photography without that? So just quickly, because of time, is just, you know, just more photos and more cool things that you can do. So the biggest thing you want to do is be creative and bring stuff with you. I have a couple duffel bags with just a bunch of just random stuff in it, and this goes for promo products. Everyone that is selling promo products should have a couple bags worth of stuff in their trunk that they can easily pull out and start taking photos that they can post. And so I love taking photos of old cameras, just old antiques, and it just really adds to the photo. I was heading to the airport from Hong Kong, or out of Hong Kong. I love the little red taxis running around, and I saw a street vendor selling that for like 15 bucks. Normally I wouldn't pay $15 for a little Matchbox, but you know, anyways, the cab driver was very nice and stood there. Sometimes you just have your phone with you. If you don't have anything, just use your phone. You can, when the screen's dark, you get a nice reflection. This, I just threw some water on the top of it. Paid $8 for a bottle of water to do that. And then maybe even it's your hat. You might have a hat on that you want to show off and take a photo of. One really popular photo portrait that I've taken is with this little bubble camera. It's $5. I saw it, camera, hello, I got to buy it. And I thought it was a great idea. I called the model and said, hey, let's shoot, but it was a very windy day. And just so you can see, this was taken with one light, by the way. 197 photos, and most of them look like this until I finally got one that looked like that. So it's all about just being very persistent, waiting for that photo. So most people think to take product photos, you need a light box. And most of those photos are super boring. Sometimes you need it for like websites and things like that, but if you're posting photos like on Instagram and things like that, people want lifestyle photos. They don't want to see stuff like this. And so one thing that you can do, I took this for Indiana Pickle Company. I actually took this with my iPhone, and it was just a piece of wood and an old cookie sheet, and that's it. And I even edited that with my phone, so it's super easy to get really nice photos. I did not tell them that, but anyways. Yeah, and this is just, you know, 2 bags. Normally I have like 4 bags in the back, and they just take product photos anytime. When I was asked to, when it was known that I was going to be speaking at SKUCon, Coaster Stone, they sent me some coasters with my face on it, so I had to take photos of that, right? I know what you're thinking, best looking coaster you've ever seen in your life. But anyways, this is just a cardboard box and just some pieces of wood sitting on top. It's not even a real table. So Andrew from Brandwise, we like to go to a brewery every now and then for a lunch meeting, if you will. And anyways, so I'm telling him about this, and then he's bragging about some chocolate that Maple Ridge sent him. And I was like, I want some chocolate, so maybe if they send me stuff, maybe I can get Maple Ridge to send me some stuff. And they knew, they were on to me right away. They're like, you want me to send you one of everything we have? And I'm like, just like 5 cheese baskets, you know, just a bunch of chocolate, things like that, just, you know. So anyways, they sent me a box of chocolate without my face on it. Take note back there. And anyway, so I just took, you know, some, you know, basic photos, and it was all in my backyard, maybe. It was all in my backyard, same technique, just a tree stump and a bottle of whiskey, which I drank that afterwards, and a light. We got some new golf tools in at EMT, so, you know, I'm like, let's go to a golf course, and you just walk up to, you know, the golf pro and say, here's a divot tool, can I take some photos? And then they say absolutely every time. This guy that you see, he was just out there putting. Just ask people, hey, you're dressed nice today. Sarah thought he had a nice caboose, so she's like, let's take photos of him. So she's down there taking photos. And then anyways, we wanted to do like a rock and roll thing, like you're coming in. And these were just taken outside EMT. It's like you don't have to go crazy places to get photos. You know, these were taken at Dairy Queen. Who doesn't like to take photos at Dairy Queen with ice cream? It was free ice cream day when we took those, by the way, so another bonus. I took these photos for a distributor that just asked for, hey, can you take some lifestyle photos for me? And they sent me a box. And took these at a lake house. You're like, Brian, I don't have a lake house. Just do as I did. Just drink a couple beers and then go to someone's lake house while they're not home and just use their deck for a little bit. And then that's always great. And they even had pretzels for me to eat out there, so it was awesome. Just another brewery shot, and as you can see, one light up high, you know, showing off the mug. I took this for Old Smoky Moonshine. This was taken in my living room. The one for Terre Haute Brewing. Got a lot of foam, a little trick. You put a little bit of dishwashing liquid into the top of it, and as soon as it hits, you get all that nice foam. Just for time, I have a little video that shows how to edit really quickly, and I'm just going to post it and let you guys go watch it, just because I only have 4 minutes and the video is 3 minutes. So let's not play this. So after you have all this info, now it's time to share it. And so I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to grow an Instagram following. So the first thing is to think about accounts you follow of people you don't know. And so that's the kind of stuff and info that you want to think about before you post. Will someone that doesn't know me be interested in this? The other thing is, don't set your account to private. You'll never grow it unless you're famous. I started off, I had maybe 60 to 200, I can't remember, people. And as soon as I took it off private, that's when I grew. The next thing is list where you're located in the profile. If you list that you're from Indianapolis in the profile, if I don't know you, I'm more likely to follow you back. And people want to know that. They like to follow local people that's out, you know, sharing food and you know, places to go. Also, stay in your lane. So if your account is a personal account, keep it a personal account. If you have a business account, make it just all business. And if it's just you just like sharing photos, that's what you do. And then the next thing is, if you have a business account, don't make it personal. If you get a new girlfriend or a baby or a boyfriend or whatever, don't blow up the feed with that. Stay in your lane and only post to what your followers signed up for. If not, you're going to lose people. And then the next thing to do is you want to be consistent. Now, when I started, I used to post every single day. I don't do that anymore. But you at least want to post 2 to 3 times a week, just because people want new content from you. When someone's going to decide if they're going to follow you, if they don't know you, they look at your top 9 photos, and that's their decision. So always keep those super fresh and consistent, and I edit almost all my photos exactly the same. So when they go to it, they see the same type of moody, colorful things. And then with that said, don't post just a post. If you're not feeling a post, don't post it. People will unfollow you for a bad photo. They will not unfollow you because you didn't post that day unless you said you do. And then that's it. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I would love it if you did. And so thank you, everyone.